Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to this important online panel discussion on how to create an inclusive IT park in Tajikistan. My name is Shaukat Ali Khan. Currently, I am sitting in Nairobi, Kenya, and I am the Chief Information Officer at the Aga Khan University and Hospitals. It's my great honor to moderate this panel together with my co-moderator, Farhad Bilolzodo, Deputy Minister of Industry and New Technologies, Republic of Tajikistan. Today's panel discussion has been organized by the Ministry of Industry and New Technologies of the Republic of Tajikistan in collaboration with the University of Central Asia, USAID, StrategEast, the Aga Khan University, and the Aga Khan Foundation. Ministry of Industry and New Technologies, Republic of Tajikistan, announced the creation of a Digitalization Council to create the first high-tech park in the country. During the several panel discussions co-organized by Strategy East and the University of Central Asia, international experts came to the unanimous opinion that the creation of high-tech park can make a great contribution to the economic development of Tajikistan, the transition from an industrial to a knowledge economy. However, in addition to economic growth, the IT park can also contribute to the inclusiveness of economic development. Today, we will ask our panelists on how to make sure that the creation of a new IT park does not lead to an increase in the gap between the rich and poor, between urban and rural areas, and many other questions on how to be inclusive when creating an IT park in the Republic of Tajikistan. For all the attendees watching us here on Zoom and also on social media, if you have any question in between the discussion, then please just write your question in the Q&A section on Zoom or in the comment section on social media so that we can pick from there and then ask on your behalf to our panelists. Before starting the panel discussion, I would like to invite my co-moderator, Farhad Bilolzodo, Deputy Minister Industry and New Technologies, Republic of Tajikistan, to say a few words and open the discussion.
Thank you. Thank you, Shaukat, for introduction and giving me the floor. Dear participants of today's event, to be honest, I'm very glad to see all of you again at another online meeting, which we are organizing again together with University of Central Asia and with the support of our partners, USAID, Aga Khan Foundation, and StrategEast. So I would like to briefly give you some background about our initiatives and what we have done in this regard. It is summer now in Tajikistan, and I remember our first meeting with UCA Chief Executive Professor Naqvi and his excellent team, including my colleagues, friends, and associates who are attending this event today. So I'm talking about you, Shaukat, and I'm talking about my most active friend, Dastan Bui, who's with great enthusiasm, like all of us, is working on the use of promoting IT industrialization in the Republic of Tajikistan. As you remember, our first meeting took place at the beginning of the year. And then for the first time, we started talking about the importance of digitalization of the economy and found common ground in order to somehow contribute to the development of this process in the country. After that, we initiated the first joint event, which took place in March of this year in Dushanbe, under the slogan High Technologic Parks in Eurasia, where many reps from the IFIs, private sector, and NGOs took part. That event not only laid a solid foundation for our relations, but also allowed us, representatives of the government, international organization, and the private sector to pay more attention to the implementation and promotion of IT industrialization policies while studying the successful experience of other countries. It is gratifying that the promotion of this policy over the next 5 months allowed us to attract many supporters and partners in the development and implementation of the digitalization policy in the country. After productive work today, we were able not only to attract reliable partners who joined us and are eager to work in this direction, but also were able to coordinate this process, attracting those who have already been involved in this area within their mandates. And here I want to thank the Mayor Office of Dushanbe, as well as representatives of its brilliant institution, Smart City, who are also attending this event today and are actively involved in the implementation of innovative digital projects in the Dushanbe city. I would like also to thank reps of international organizations such as IFC, OICE, and UNDP, who have expressed and great desire to support our initiative to create IT Park and IT industrialization in Dushanbe. I would like also to thank USAID with the support of which the event is being held today. And also I would like to thank Aga Khan Foundation and of course our parent partner, the non-profit organization StrategEast, whose consultation and expertise inspire us to work even more actively in this direction. And lastly, I would like to welcome our new partners who are joining today's event and will have presentation and speech. I'm talking about the Alif Academia and the representatives from the Armenia. Dear friends, in a row, this is our third event on IT industrialization. And today we will see the practical examples and experience in the field of how to create an inclusive IT park in Tajikistan. And also we'll have a chance to ask questions from the recognized experts. I really hope that this event will give even more stimulus to our work and will also allow all participants to be inspired by new ideas on the creation of IT parks in Tajikistan. I want to know that today we have achieved not much, but enough results. And when I'm asking we, I mean the partners noted above. So what we have achieved today, the first is that we have already defined our goals together with defined partners. Second, we began to find general coordination of the process, how to introduce IT sector development in the country. Thirdly, we defined a mechanism for how to propose effective implementation of digital policy in the country. And I personally think that we have very little to left to implement our plans. The most important today is not to stop and go further and achieve new goals. And the last, I would like to thank you all again, and let me with my great pleasure and honor give further moderation of this event to my friend Shaukat and wish all participants success. Shaukat Jan, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Farhad, and thank you. I think you are the person who is bringing energy to these forums. For thank you to you, and then the ministry, the honorable minister, and then the entire team of Smart City. So thank you very much. It gives me a great pleasure to introduce our panelists for today's discussion. Anatoly Motkin, President of StrategEast Center for New Economy, Zarina Rajabova, Director of Alif Academy, Philip Stoyanoyov, Chief of Party, USAID Future Growth Initiative for Central Asia, Firoz Said Khazal, Project Manager, Economic Development Advisor, United Nations Development Program, and Bagrat, Director of Enterprise Incubator Foundation, Armenia. Thank you very much, all our distinguished panelists, for your time and then allowing us to engage you today. So I would start with Philip as a USAID representative, because USAID has been our great partners in encouraging all the sponsorships and then enabling us to do these type of events. How do you see from a donor agency your role on creating an inclusive IT park in Tajikistan, and what are the interest areas from as a donor agency you can see and you can share with us today?
Thanks a lot, and it's my pleasure to be here. Thank you, very much appreciate it. Just to say hi to Bagrat. I haven't seen him in a very long time, so nice to see you. Zarina, nice to see you again. I've only been to Dushanbe once before the coronavirus, so I hope I'll be back sometime. So very nice to meet you, everybody. From our side, we're a very young project in the region, including Tajikistan. Our project covers the 5 Central Asian countries. We do have a component that's connected to technology, IT, e-commerce. So we're kind of looking a cross-cutting theme. I think the IT park idea and concept that Tajikistan is pushing forward is an excellent one. There are some good ones in the region that are useful to see. Bagrat will talk about Armenia. I think Moldova also has another example in Techville that could be an example. From our side, we're doing a few things in Tajikistan and the region. One is we're working with Alif Academy, which I'll let Zarina talk about. We also work with Ilmhona on software, IT software skills and software development for young people from Tajikistan, not only in Dushanbe, but across the country as well. We are beginning to look into policy areas for e-commerce. We're working with the Tajikistan e-commerce council that's underneath the Chamber of Commerce. And that's kind of an example, I think, of what we should be doing in general. It's donor coordination, it's agency coordinations, it's public-private dialogue. Everybody's in this council, and I think a key success to what we're doing as donors, but locally as well, is how do we coordinate and cooperate? We're very open to collaborate on this topic. For sure in the future, we will continue to work on IT skills for young people. We are looking into e-commerce and digital transformation as well for SMEs in the future, which I think is a component of what we're discussing today. And the main topic is how do we not lose out, have it only in the capital, lose out throughout the country. I think those linkages are quite important. And there are examples. One of the issues is internet connectivity that needs to be looked at so that fully the country is covered and easy access. I think physically we need some hubs in the region that are representative of the IT park. Maybe an example is the IT park in Uzbekistan. And then those hubs should be thought about how they should be developed and around what. There are several examples, some that personally I know are business centers that help SMEs in general, young people, women entrepreneurs, etc. In Europe now, there's these new concepts of digital innovation hubs that are concentrated around, let's say, ag tech, food tech, textile tech, just different kind of topics connecting to technology, linking to more traditional sectors. So there are many examples that we can look at. And like I said, in the close by region, which I'm sure Bagrat will talk about, but also Moldova and other countries, there are super examples that can be used. I think the last that I want to say right now is that I think the key is the coordination between all of us, cooperation, finding how we don't step on each other's toes and do more for Tajikistan and for us, the Central Asia region, and move forward. So
thank you, Philip. It's very interesting. I will move to Bagarat because it's interesting, Bagarat, to hear your experience in Armenia and how do you thought what would be your advice and suggestions based on your learnings on how to create an inclusive IT park, and what are the major elements to make sure that it's inclusive when we are establishing a new IT park in the country.
Thank you very much. I think it's a great pleasure to be here to see old and good friends. I hope we will be soon vaccinated and we'll have the chance to see each other personally. So I'm missing a lot, all of your friends. But this is a challenge. I think this is a small part of our life. Let me share a short presentation. I will try to be short to be more also illustrative.
Sure.
First of all, good luck to this initiative. We'll be happy to be supportive, and I would like to invite all of you, and especially our friends of Tajikistan, to Armenia, to see some of the nice examples personally. And we already in the market as an organization 19 years. And this is just a demonstration of a few of our flagship projects, which are started several years ago and they're ongoing and they're related to the topic. So they're very diverse. So there are some of them that are specialized, like mobile applications, cybersecurity, and others in specific areas of IT. Some of them have a different objective on the regional development, some of them on multinational interaction and etc. Some of them have a concrete partnership with specific countries. And there we have in Armenia 3 major formats, which is similar what we are calling an IT park. First, we're calling them parks or cities, and they're more large environment with specific objectives. We have specific, relatively small ones. We call them innovation centers. They're relatively small. They are not covering large areas, just the buildings and etc., but also have a specific target and specific partnership with multinationals, like with Microsoft, IBM, National Instruments, and many others. And some of them have a format of technological centers, especially in the regions, with specific objectives on IT and engineering development in the sector. As an EIF, where we are saying high tech, we are mainly involved in IT and engineering sectors, and also on tech development in non-tech sectors. This is more primary goal that we are already involved more than 19 years. And results are very interesting. As just a few figures about an IT sector in Armenia, most probably you had a chance to see in different presentations. It's not only growing fast and is not only one of the top sectors in the country, but as a country, there are already Armenian local companies who are top in the world. Just a few examples like Pixart, it's a 1 billion valuation, top 10 company in the world in the mobile field, or the Solar, the largest educational platform in the world, or CRISP in the technology sectors. And also what is interesting that there are not only Armenian local startups are now are global giants in a global map, but also there are lots of multinationals during the last 5 to 10 years, not only moving to the country using these infrastructures, but they're bringing a lot of R&D activities. It's becoming, from the typical outsourcing, it's becoming an interesting research and development hub. And also this culture is helping a lot to the local ecosystem development, not only specifically to the sector, but also to other sectors. And COVID shows that it's a nice demonstration of that, how the education and some digital sectors are boosted because of this presence by 90%. I will try to be more specific because we have an interesting discussion, and just to brainstorm two specific examples, 3 specific examples, which could be related. These are the 2 technological centers or parks in 2 cities. It's Gyumri is the 2nd city, and Vanadzor is the 3rd city. First one is mainly specialized in IT. The second one is more in IT and engineering, so more integration of hardware and software. So there's specifically it's interesting because it's not only helped to support the local ecosystem, but it was an interesting mechanism to bring multinationals not only to the country, but specifically to the region. And what is interesting, and I know that you all know about that, now nobody cares physically where you are located, especially in IT sector. Now the talent, it's a lack of talent all over the world. So specifically, if you can find out an interesting environment where you have education, entrepreneurship, infrastructure, and also, I agree with my friends, a good coordination, a good partnership, I think you can be successful. And these are nice 2 examples which are demonstrating that especially even in the region of the country, not only even in the capital, but in the 2nd and the 3rd city, it could become an interesting hub, a global hub for IT development, having in one place and multinationals and the local startups and education ecosystem. And it's boosting not only employment or high value add new jobs, but it's also influencing a lot on environment of the city or of the region. Why not also to the country? So the life entirely, the culture is starting to change. The people are starting to believe to stay in this part of the world, and also to attract lots of investment from outside. What is also interesting that they're also influencing on city or the region development by different services in a digital area or different services or using technology in a non-tech sector. Another interesting example is a new city which we are building in Yerevan, and when you'll be in Yerevan is the capital of Armenia, so we have a city inside of the city in a nice location in the suburbs. Everybody was telling us why you are not going outside to other regions. But this is interesting, a model of large co-working for IT companies, that each of them is not having a desk, but each of them having a building. It's a new concept of, it's not a new concept, but it's an interesting concept in Armenia that we're trying to use the first time. Each of them will have its own building inside of this park, or we are calling it a city, but they're sharing everything. They're sharing equipment, they're sharing education, they're sharing preparation of specialists, they're sharing working with multinationals, they're sharing contracting or putting efforts together to go for the new contracts, they're sharing investment attraction or venture capital attraction and some others. So it's really successful, and I think I'll be happy to share some of this new nice part of this interesting concept, which also I think could be used in Tajikistan. The beauty is not here only infrastructure and investment in a specific targeted area. The beauty of this collaborative environment, when all the tenants, all the participants, all the stakeholders, shareholders are doing everything together, and they are succeeding together. And what is important, and because you are speaking about inclusiveness, I want to demonstrate two interesting examples related to these three projects, which were really successful during the last 2-3 years. First, we piloted the first time doing a specific project with a woman entrepreneurship. At the beginning, I was a little bit skeptical, trying to understand, okay, so why we are doing a specific targeted effort in this area, but I think it's an interesting approach. We launched an initiative with our partners to support specifically female entrepreneurs. And the results are very interesting, and I was even surprised with the results. So there's really interesting talent available that we are not dealing with that. And it's not only the issue of the female. It's a nice example that if you are targeted, if you are specifically going to the specific niche, not only by specialization, but also by the gender or by the specific target group inside the population, there are lots of opportunities and nice things that we should pay attention. And having in a very short period of time, more than 500 participants at 81 new companies, teams established, I think it was very interesting. And this also is giving us a nice new fields of discovery, especially in technology, non-tech area. We're in Armenia now specifically paying a lot of attention on this topic, including creative industries, energy, renewable energy, agriculture, and others, how technology itself, not only to develop a nice IT sector, engineering sector, but having a local available talent and also local products and solutions, can we also boost other sectors in our economy. Another example, it's very interesting also, we also went to the specific vulnerable targeted groups. This specific one, we are working with a young generation with a specific disabilities already 10 years. And also this COVID shows that there are lots of opportunities also to make these people happy. So this is another interesting example of inclusiveness. So demonstrating in a specific targeted areas. You are not only developing an area, but you can also go deep into the specific target ones. So trying to summarize, I think the success, most importantly, you need to define your model. The park, center, innovation center, etc. These are all nice words and the good words, but each of them are different from each other. I think the most important thing, if you identify a specific model and specific objective, because this is related to future sustainability, this is related to specific efforts, and you should be very focused on your effort. This is a very tough and very difficult job. Nice. We know many examples in the world with the nice infrastructures, nice buildings, but then here it's not an area for competitors. How the model could be effective? What should be the main focus? And the examples could be different. It could be just main target on bringing multinationals, or main target bringing new startups or promote entrepreneurship. It could be another environment to bring together specific companies in specific areas like digital services to create an ecosystem. It could be another collaborative environment, but my recommendation will be from the beginning to define the target. Not only to call it IT park, but to call it IT park for a specific. This is also a nice message for the donors, for the partners, stakeholders, and also the team itself, the management team, where to put major efforts, because opportunities are a lot. And one thing definitely I would recommend that education should be inside. You should have an education. We are speaking about technology. This is ongoing learning process, and this is your tech is changing very fast, and you need to all the time. You need to have this education, and I speak about that higher education next to your skills development type of activities. And you will benefit definitely on the job creation. These are very high value-add jobs, and again, nobody cares where you are located. Second, multinationals attraction. Multinationals are good because immediately they are bringing the whole culture absorbed from all over the world in 1 second to your country. It's something ourselves will not be able to do. By bringing this into this specific environment, they're transforming all this knowledge and work culture immediately, and we are immediately changing as a specialist, as an environment. This is also very interesting that for the brain drain. People even starting now, they're looking for, I was in Miami last week. All Silicon Valley companies are moving to the two major locations now, Texas and Florida. They're becoming a nice, especially after COVID, they're becoming an important destination. And there are different incentives, tax incentives, weather incentives, price incentives, cost incentives. And this is another interesting thing I think we should take into account, and the policies inside of the IT park or inside of the city or country. I think it's an important, even in such a developed country like in US, if somebody will tell me 2 years ago that the companies will move from Silicon Valley to Texas, Austin, or Florida, Miami, I would say no way. But I'm coming from there, the top companies that are already doing that. And also, this is very good for sustainable development of the country, creating a new culture. And also, definitely, I want to repeat myself, beauty of all this technology, that it's helping other sectors of the country. It's immediately changing the culture and becoming successful, not only in a specifically park, but it's around the park and one day inside of the whole country. So I want to wish good luck to this initiative. Once again, we'll be happy to host you in Armenia to show not only on presentation, but also to demonstrate this. And there are very nice examples. I totally agree with Philip. We're working also with Moldova. It's another interesting example. And you will find many examples. My recommendation will be not to be discover bicycle again, to see what is available, to choose your model, which is close to your heart, and to put a dedicated team and nice stakeholders and persistence. It's possible. Good luck.
Thank you, Bhagarat. Very, very interesting. I fully agree with you that technology is not only for the technology, but it enables actually other areas to develop as well. So I will come back to you on some of the key challenges Tajikistan can already anticipate based on the learnings from what you have been through in Armenia. But I would go to Firoz, because Firoz has an excellent experience within Central Asia. And at the same time, for the United Nations Development Program, they are doing a lot of innovation hubs and innovative stuff across. So based on that experience, Firoz, can you share your thoughts on what could be the key elements to make sure that it's inclusive and the IT park will be smooth to start, and then everybody feels the ownership into that part?
Good afternoon, colleagues. Thank you very much for invitation and your question, Shaukat. For the very good question. Let me start from the beginning that starting from 2016, UNDP in Tajikistan is actively involved in the development of startup ecosystem in Tajikistan. And during this period, we have identified IT, digitalization as sectors for the future development, future growth of the country, because around 50% of our population in Tajikistan are young people. So it's a great opportunity to have one developed country through development of IT skills and digitalizations. That's why we have been partnering with several IT companies in Tajikistan, as well as educational centers, including Alif Academy, Imkhona, ITRAN, and others. And we finally also identified that IT Park also can be a model for the development of digital skills of young people. And I fully agree with Bagrat that we need to develop like IT skills of young people, qualified IT personnel and specialists in order to develop outsourcing as well as digitalization sector in Tajikistan. Now we are working jointly with the Ministry of Industry on the development of favorable legislation environment in Tajikistan to develop like legislation in place. It is one of the ingredients for the key and smooth in inclusive formation of IT park in Tajikistan. And also, as earlier mentioned, we need to invest on development of IT skills of young people. So we could compete with other countries. So we have also like cheap labor force here in Tajikistan, and it can be like one of our advantages for attracting more international IT and digital companies to Tajikistan, as well as a growth point. And here we need to, I also agree with Philip, we need to cooperate with all partners, both at a national level and international level, in order to have what good working model, review all international best practices, and develop a good model that can be inclusive and suitable for the development of Tajikistan, particularly on IT parks.
Thank you, Feroz. I will come back with some more questions, but now I would like to ask Zarina, based on her experience on Alif Academy, how you are suggesting to work on the capacity building so that the government have a pipeline who can take care of actually high-tech park and all the technology initiatives in the country. So based on your experience, what would be your thoughts?
Thank you, Shaukat. Could you please repeat your question? And I couldn't understand.
Yeah, I think, well, my question is that based on your experience in digital literacy and digital training, what could be the strategy to make sure that there is a digital talent and capacity in the country to actually work on these initiatives?
Okay. How? We are working with districts not so long, like around one year. We started from the end of 2020. And now I understand that we have to be, how to say it, we have to be we have to be in districts. We have to work with people like one-to-one. We have to see them. We have to work with them. In district, you cannot work like in capital. You cannot work like we work in Dushanbe. This kind of work on not for districts. We have to be there. We have to work with them. We have to show. We have to take their hands and show where to go. It's really not so easy like in Dushanbe or in Hujand. And what we have now, we don't have places where we can work. This is our first problem, and we don't have mentors or teachers who can teach them, who can show them the way how to go, how to study the IT or another digital things. And I think now we have to work on in this side. We have to open not so big centers. We are not saying about opening some digital centers in districts. No, we need small places where young people can come and sit together and study. We need more people who can teach, and we don't need the professional teachers like who can teach so big things. No, we need to start from small things. We need to teach them how to work with computer, how to work with internet, how to go through the online courses and so on. Because in districts, people are not like in Dushanbe or Khujand.
Thank you, Zarina. I will come back to you with some more questions. Anatoly, based on your experience with working with the governments and strategies is in many countries, and then you have been engaged in many dialogues. Based on your experience, what are the key factors to make sure that the KPI or key point indicator is like inclusiveness in this whole discussion of building high-tech parks? So what are the key KPIs we can take forward if based on your learnings?
Thank you, Shaukat, and thank you for holding this important event. And I think that it's important that the governments in the region would feel co-ownership and not just to be an observers on this development process. It means that for agencies like institutions like ours, like StrategEast, it's important not only to educate and to train new people in the country, but it's also to educate and to work on advocacy with the governments, and not necessarily on the legislation amendments, but also to explain them what are the steps and what should be what should be done and what is going to be conducted. Now, it's important when you're talking about the KPIs, and when you're talking about the KPIs in the country, it's the basics, the foreign direct investment into the country as and number of jobs created. And it's true that the IT industry looks as one of those industries where it's not a physical work, that naturally and organically it should be equal number of male and female employees, which is absolutely untrue. And from our experience working in Ukraine, Belarus, and Georgia, we had to actually to make it in manual mode and to get it in manual mode. So the programs like Women in Tech and STEM is FEM program, which is works in Ukraine, are important because this awareness is important, especially in the traditional countries, where sometimes it's people perceive that maybe a lady should not necessarily work even if she learns. So it's also important to work in terms of advocacy among young students, female students, and also to encourage them to study. But we know one thing, that it's true that we're talking now about about creating highly paid jobs, but everything starts from digital literacy. And digital literacy is something which is much more important than how many IT developers you will have in those countries. And it was important case in Estonia. I spoke with former president of Estonia, Mr. Ilves, and he told me that, look, the digital literacy we've resolved in very simple way. We ordered that any local bank in Estonia should have a branch in each settlement, even if it's just village of 5 houses. But what does it mean branch? It could be a computer, but in one condition: if those who live there know how to use it and how to access their account with your bank. So it was actually not only the governmental issue and task, it was also the government actually delegated part of this to private actors like banks. And as a result, in Estonia, we have absolute digital literacy. I understand that in Estonia is not so mountain country as Tajikistan, and it's much more complicated there. But I think it should be also in the same way of thinking, and not everything we should blame the government, but also it should be kind of public-private partnership, and I believe in those partnership, both country-wise and regional. So I think that again, the IT industry is a unique industry which is able first to provide the highly paid jobs to people who live in rural areas without asking the young gifted people to live to the capital. And it's actually, it actually builds the future of those countries, because we know that once you have a very young capital and very old rural areas, it inevitably will lead to some economic collapses, not necessarily only in terms of digital economy. Also, we understand that the inclusiveness is important also in terms of ethnic minorities. And sometimes in some countries, it's true that only the title nation people who belong there could become senior officials. Yeah, let's say the truth. In many countries, it happens like this. But once you are a gifted scientist, it doesn't matter to what ethnic minority you belong, you have the equal opportunity. And the digital economy, beyond being transparent and accountable, it's about equal opportunities. And that's why actually for StrategEast, it's one of the highest priorities, because it's our way to build up an equal society in Eurasian region. Thank you. Thank you, Shoka.
Thank you, Anatoly. Build on what you have just mentioned, and then the previous comment from Zarina about the importance of having the presence in the region and then starting from the region, actually. I would like to ask Bagrat, based on his experience in Armenia, I can see that you have put a really, really amazing buildings in the city centers and everything, but how the whole ecosystem works there? Have you engaged all parts of Armenia, or it's only for the capitals? So can you share that experience? Bagrat, just unmute yourself. I think you're on mute at the moment.
Yeah, right, because the internet interrupted. Okay. I think I missed the last part of your...
The question was based on what Zarina and Anatoly mentioned about the importance of the regions and then the whole public-private partnership. What is your experience in Armenia? Have you built an ecosystem where all regions are included or connected virtually with these amazing big buildings in the city, or how is the structure you have there?
I think first of all about partnership. I think I totally agree. So all our projects are based on a public-private partnership. This is important thing because knowledge experience we are getting from the private sector, and because they know how the heart is beating and they're permanently following the trends and developments and bringing the new culture. The government's role is to show the interest, because if regional government or city mayor or somebody is not showing an interest, and somebody living there is not showing that it's interesting, private sector will not go there. And also there are some costs it's important to subsidize. Private sector is investing, but some costs related to the education, digitalization, or distance learning, and etc. These are the costs that government, with the support of the donors, are trying to subsidize. I think the most important thing is demonstration effect. We can create hundreds of training programs. We can go one by one to the regions and others. The most important, the people should feel that they need that. People are curious, they like to copy, and there are some, in a positive way, they are jealous. If effectively you are paying a mobile bank, you're using your mobile banking effectively, and I'm sitting next to you and you're demonstrating that it's easy, there's no need to walk another, I don't know, 200 meters, go to the bank, immediately I'm starting to copy you and I'm becoming an effective. It's more effective than that I will go to the training class and they will teach me how to use mobile banking. Or another example, my friend is studying online Java or Python, whatever, and he's getting a small contract and working from home or working from the company. So I'm immediately starting to copy them. This demonstration effect and the making money, that I can become rich, that there is a nice opportunities, that there is no need to have only, I don't know, a big factory or the gas station to become rich. That by technology and etc. it's possible. These demonstration effects are important, especially are important in the regions, because in the regions people are sitting and they're saying, oh, there is no opportunity. Oh, this is luck. It's the fortune. It's I born here. Now the major thing I need to think to go to the capital, or some of them even to leave the country. And another trend we should take out, that studying in a region by online is another opportunity. There is no need to go to the Dushanbe, to the capital or other capitals, Yerevan, to go to the higher education establishment, to leave the homeland, to study, and etc. These opportunities should be created there. And this is a part, last part of your question. On one hand, we try to be focused on a specific cities. Why in these cities? Because we have higher education in these cities. So where we have a higher education establishment, we put it, especially this hub there. But technology is giving us a nice opportunity. We are accessible all over the country. For example, we are calling it regional matching grants. We are providing the grants specifically to the entrepreneurs and startups from the regions. Why we are differentiating? Because these people cannot compete with the tech companies or tech startups or teams from capital, because they're entirely different environment. We're specifically encouraging them to apply for that. And the whole country is aware. We are doing lots of seminars outside, helping them to apply to these grants and then helping them to follow. And what is also interesting, we're also helping, we created an environment specifically in the regions that the companies from capital will go there. A small example, if you're creating a specific financial incentive, a grant, $50,000, and you're creating another tax incentives, even a small, that you are not paying, for example, VAT for 3 years or whatever, even the companies from the capital are moving there because they're calculating each dollar. And believe me, this is changing an environment. You are not bringing a large multinational from US to your village. You are bringing a branch of the capital, a company based in the capital to that. And what is also effective, we tried, it's online training. I agree with Zarina, in some cases you need the babysitting, but this is, I think, the beginning. If you do a demonstration effect inside of the village, if you find a champion inside of the village, the second day you don't need to go there. Otherwise, you cannot cover the whole country, even a small country. You need to find the champions in each place, let's call it village, district, whatever you want to call it, to create an accessibility, and based on that, provide the content. The major bottleneck will be a content, I think, because it should be tailored to the specific needs. Just taking and just distributing and digitalization is just using a network. I think it's not even summarizing what I'm saying. Public-private partnerships, I think it's important. Accessibility to other regions, but demonstration effects. It's must, but you need to have hubs. In some places, not to go to each village, but some of the hubs close to this area that people are coming and feeling and touching themselves also. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhagat. Very interesting. I would go to Philip to hear from you about the role of international financial organizations and development institutions in promoting inclusiveness in the construction of the IT industry, and especially the interest from the donor agencies with regards to establishing IT parks. If you can just give us some thoughts in this perspective.
Thank you. I would like to agree with everybody that spoke before me. And just to come back a little bit, Anatoly was talking about the customer base and the people and, building kind of that need on the ground. I think that's quite important as well. But, our discussion went to developing the IT sector or the IT ecosystem away from the IT park. So one example, for example, that we're doing right now is we're working with Babylon Tea the National Association of Small Businesses and the E-commerce Association on e-payments, using QR codes and working. The target is 10,000 merchants to get them to utilize this activity. So through them, hopefully we'll get to the customers, make it easier for them, etc. So building the capacities from the bottom up. So that's something that could be done as well. On the IT park idea, we're very much interested. I mean, in the future, we're looking into, like I said, we want to continue in IT skills. We want to look at policies. We want to look at the startup ecosystem as well. We haven't really mentioned this, and IT parks are quite an important part of the developing of the startup ecosystem. It could be the nucleus of a lot of things. Within that, I think it's important for us donors to coordinate and make sure that we're collaborating, but I think it's important for the governments to be there as well. I mean, this is not only our initiative, and it should be a local initiative. For it to be sustainable, anything we do, it has to have the local partner that is pulling this forward. Like I say, anything we do, it has to be co-funded. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. Unless it's a strategy of a Leaf Academy that we're working with. Anything we do, we'll do it for a couple of months. That's it, done deal. We leave and nothing will happen unless the local organization is pulling it forward. So it's the same thing with the IT park. I think if we sit down, and like Bagrat said, there's many examples, we sit down and see what that is for Tajikistan. Each of us, whether it's UNDP, USAID, the IFC, or anybody else, will have a little component that they can contribute towards that, and together we can achieve it. Like I said, the IT park can be a nucleus to numerous things, from startups to outsourcing, more mature IT companies, to e-commerce, education, all kinds of these things. We just, conceptually, we need to sit down and think about it, what that is. And I think a couple of the components that need to be there, mentorship. I think Zarina talked about mentors. Whether it's for any of those, whether it's women in business, startups, even outsourcing companies, angel investors and VC funds, that should be on the, we need to educate angel investors or future angel investors. It's a different type of investment, and there's plenty of successful Tajik businesses that potentially could be, and mentors and angel investors. I think that's an educational process. So, I mean, there's many things on the table, and the donors should be there to support the government and the private sector to push things forward. They should, in my opinion, this is just my personal opinion, we shouldn't be the leaders. The local private sector and public sector should be the leader, and we should be supporting them in this process, coordinating with our colleagues from UNDP and others.
Excellent. Thank you, Philip. Build on your comment and then going back to Zarina. Zarina, can you just share your experience working with the donors in actually penetrating in the local industry, especially in the regions, how that has been? And then if you can just share one or two examples of some of the things which work really, really good.
First question was about donors, yes?
Yes, your working model, how you work, and then what is working good so far based on your experience.
Okay, we work with UNDP and USAID and DACAFA. USAID helped us to open the courses for girls from districts. It was really, when we started it opened like, now we know what are in the districts and what we have to do, which problems we have and what we have to solve. This is what we did with USAID. With UNDP, we conduct courses in Dushanbe. We conduct online courses. Actually, with UNDP, we started our first online course. And Jakarta also, they help us to how they helped us with financing, and we find a teacher from Russia and opened it, our first online course. Then we started to we started the second and the third and another online courses and worked with districts. This is what we did with donors.
Okay. Thank you, Zarina. And I will just put my questions to Firoz and Anatoly, and then ask them to respond afterwards. So my question is to Firoz is that, can you share some of the good practices in the region from other countries where it's working, and then you can see as a UNDP organization that there is an inclusivity part of the high-tech park establishment. Just think about this question, but before that, I think my co-coordinator, the deputy minister, had some couple of comments, so I would like him to jump in here. Farhad.
Yeah, thank you, Shaukat. Thank you. Indeed, very good panelists, very good insights about how to create inclusive IT park. And thank you to Bagrat for his excellent presentation. It was very interesting to learn about the Armenia experience. Indeed, because why it's interesting, because with Armenia, we were in a CIS region, we have a very similar legal environment, and it's really interesting for us to learn how these guys. And my question, I have several questions to Baghdad and to Zarina and also to Firuz. Before going to the question, I would like to know that recently, a day ago, we had also an online forum here in Dushanbe with support of the UNDP and the Committee of Investment. That was about the digitalization and entrepreneurship, and there was a lot of panelists and a lot of discussion at a very high level. And we have discussed about the issues and problems and barriers which is preventing the development of digitalization of economy, digitalization of the business processes, and etc. So, so my first question to Bagrat is in your presentation, Bagrat, you mentioned that defining the model is important. I absolutely agree with you, because I had in a round tables with my colleagues, with my partners, I was discussed about I was discussed and asked the supports and to support this process of IT industrialization and digitalization process of Tajikistan. When I'm talking with partners, for instance, my colleague from the ISC told me you should also guys to define the model. So my question is, how do you guys work toward defining the model? How did you define that model? How you started these processes? What was the background on that? And then maybe I will go to the other questions. Thank you.
I think what's important here, because the success of your IT park is the success of your tenants, companies, teams, who is inside. Because tomorrow they will say IT park is successful because successful each of them. It should not become a company, a service company, which is just providing one management providing services, but it's accumulation of the tenants. And the tenants, I think, they're more effective. Let's call them companies inside of IT parks or the team. They are more specialized, and your efforts toward them are successful. For example, you can be focused on digitalization issues, which means you are collecting in one place companies in a specific areas working in a digitalization, starting from education to e-services. It's a very, very wide range. But it means accumulation and being next to each other. And the beauty of this environment, it's internal cooperation. Most of the time they're spending in cafeteria and drinking coffee, brainstorming together. If you are in a close subject, then your environment is more effective. Or another, you can have also multinational in the specific area, an anchor investor, you can have startups around that, but the topic could be digitalization. Or topic could be, I don't know, mobile applications, IT, whatever. This is to take the model specialization according to the specific sphere. Another target area could be, for example, attraction of multinationals. It means your instruments and the tools are targeted to attraction. It means you need to have internal education system. Why multinationals should come? Because internally there is a mechanism. There is somebody is preparing a flow of specialists that they will be hired. They can partner. They will help. That they will not do alone. If they will feel that inside of the model, inside of the IT part, there's an instrument who is permanently preparing a specialist for them, it's a nice place to go there. A third model could be in a startup environment. They're putting in a one place all the startups, young people, young generation, they're cooking each other, a nice soup, mixing them, another. This is entirely different environment, for example. I think in all environments, you have all ingredients, multinational, startup, ecosystem, education, but a little bit you need to understand what soup, the flavor of the soup, what dish you are cooking. Otherwise, if you mix everything, salad with a soup, with sushi and whatever, it could look nice. Your table will be full, but finally you will not enjoy what you are eating. The model, when I'm saying model, more or less, at least in the beginning, you need to give a little bit target. For example, for multinationals or startups, important tax incentives. In Armenia, for startups, we have 3 years, they are only paying 10% income tax, and they're not paying VAT and profit tax. You could demonstrate something like that for multinational or startups inside of the environment. It become a part of your model. It means only the startup will jump there, and you will stop large companies to go there because you're saying, oh guys, stop. This is not for you. This is just for the startup. They're here for 3 years or 5 years to benefit from this tax environment and to go others. And also another interesting thing, it's a regional development, which you can think in the future. This is moving the companies from the capital into the region. It could be also the model. So my recommendation here, when I'm saying model, I'm not saying to sacrifice one of these directions, but to find at the beginning to decide what should be the core and try to collect. You're inviting me to the party. You are saying, Bagrat, we are going to eat sushi. I know we are going to sushi place. You're saying, Bagrat, come to our IT park, invest there. It means you are specifically giving a message. I need to be in a digital service. I need to be in a startup environment. I need to be a multinational to go there. So this is important.
If I may add, I think, a simple best practices analysis, you get, you can get a short-term expert to, we can identify a few of this, let's say, CSI countries that have done a great job, like Armenia and Moldova. We mentioned Uzbekistan has a different model. The Kyrgyzstan also, the HDP there has a different model. You put these together, and then I think a PPP kind of group that underneath you can just decide. For Tajikistan, this is the best thing we can do. For, let's say, starting from the capital, and then how do we go to the region? So that would be probably the next step, unless you've done it already. I'm sorry if I don't know. So thanks.
Thank you, Philip and Bagrat. We will definitely talk later about that with you, Philip. And I think that Bagrat, you put a very solid foundation to ask me another question to Zarina, since she have like expertise on like teaching the young generation in Aleph Academia. So my question is to Zarina, if you guys let me to ask. So Zarina, what do you think? What is the so based on my information, the Aleph capacity has a very huge flow of applicants like studying, wanting to study in the Aleph Academia. Can you share your some information about that? And what do you think about the capacity and skills of the young generation of Tajikistan? How they absorb that information? How they absorb the IT skills? If there is any like future prospects in this regard?
Thank you, Farhad. Yes, we have a lot of people who want to start learning IT, who want to be like, what are they coming to us and say, I want to be a hacker, I want to do some code. They really want it, but they don't have a good motivation for now. They don't have a good motivation. They coming and they say, I want to be a coder, I want to be a hacker, and they say, asking, show me the way, how I should start, what I should learn first and then, and how to find a job. And when we are giving them a lot of materials and a lot of things to study, it goes like, oh, I don't know how to study it. It's so difficult. I have some problems. I have to go to home. I have another things. And now, like from 100% of who started our courses, only like 40–50% are goes to the end of course. It's our statistic. It's the same in Alif Academy. It's the same in Hona and other courses. It's in Tajikistan. Only maximum 50% of who started the course, they will go to the end and finish it. And out of that 50, maybe another 50% will find a job, because it's now we works on motivation with another schools. We with Homo Academy, Ilm Hona, and American Spaces, we have IT Gap. We conducted every month. We works on this side. We are showing the like stories, how the Bagrat said that we have to show them the good examples, and this is what we are doing.
Great. So I will give some insights here, Zarina, since we all in Tajikistan knows about the reputation of Alif Academia and about the reputation of your, the initiating company, Alif Bank. So in previous experiences, I mentioned that in that kind of NGO, like your structure is the NGO, right? So you are not non-profit organization. Your aim is like to build new generation to develop their skills. I think that here I would like to ask, what kind of mechanism of motivation is available for the young generation, taking into account the economic conditions and the current conditions? Did you think about that? How could you motivate more people like to work on the project, to bring them on the Alif Academia, to keep them like to working there?
We can motivate them, like show them the good stories, show them how the boys and girls from Tajikistan come to success. What are they doing? What they did to become a good entrepreneur or good programmers, developers, and like a good specialist. This is what we are doing now, and what else we can do? Last time in the last IT Gap, we had a lot of questions like what I should to do to open my own IT startup, where I have to go to find the investments, how I should open legal entity, and another questions. And what we did, we told them go to the like our partner organization, like we have Peak, we have Accelerate Prosperity, we have another incubators and accelerate companies who can help them. This is the questions from that kind of questions comes from the young generation now.
Great. Thank you, Zarina. And my last question, Shaukat, if you don't mind. So I would like to ask Firuz, like, since he has attended the last meeting that we have recently about the future entrepreneurship and digitalization. So Firuz, first of all, thank you very much for your support to organizing and inviting us to that event. So my question is, since you are attending that event yesterday, what do you think, like, what is our strength as an expert opinion? I would like to ask you, what is our strength and what is our weaknesses toward like the implementation of the IT parts, inclusive IT parts in Tajikistan?
I think strengthens is we have a political will. That's why you are here and supporting all of us, and also international organizations are here to support governmental agencies and private sector companies in order to develop like inclusive IT park in Tajikistan, but also not only IT park but itself, but also ecosystem for development of digitalization IT in the country. It is the first, and we have also cheap labor market, so cheap labor that can be very attractive for international companies. And maybe about weaknesses, I think Zarina already mentioned one of them: motivation for the young people to go IT and becoming one like experts in the sector. So we need to work on it jointly with all of us, and also University of Central Asia can also support us. So it's briefly about that.
Great, thank you very much, Firoz, Zarina, Farhad. Just
sorry,
to,
Shaukat, sorry, can I just say one thing?
Sure.
Firoz, I would kindly a little bit disagree with you just a little bit. So the cheap labor, I really don't like for any of our countries to use cheap labor. I think that's, cost effective maybe or something like this. I think I agree with you to attract new clients and new partners. I think we need to use cost effectiveness, but very slowly that needs to rise. And one of the attractiveness of IT sector and the young people that we want to attract is exactly the economics of it. They will make money more than in other sectors, and they will fast realize that's the case. And the companies will grow, and then they'll make more money, and the salaries will be higher. So I think using that term should be, we should figure out if it's cost effectiveness or something like this, and then slowly and quickly afterwards, after the beginning, kind of move up. So that's all. Sorry to interrupt, but
thank you, Philips. So based on the discussion, I think very interesting discussion. Anatoly, as I mentioned in my last, before giving floor to Farhad, learnings from the region, what are the key learnings when you see around other countries, which can be actually replicated in Tajikistan based on the local context? I think Philip already gave some examples of different countries: Armenia, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyz Republic, and then some other countries. But do you want to say some good models, because you have been working with almost all these countries?
Thank you for this question. I think that before, I believe that the development of IT industry in those countries should move in both directions, from top down and down top. It means that it couldn't be just a drafted outline by the government, and then automatically the business will adjust itself. But also, I think that in line with or in parallel with existing IT park, high technologies park, we should also have a strong ICT association in those countries, where the business itself will have a platform to discuss their common challenges, and also sometimes to challenge the government, sometimes to challenge the international financial institutions, and sometimes to ask jointly for support from institutions like USAID, because many times the business knows much better on behalf of just the best government in the world. So I believe that the most fast progress I've seen in the countries like Ukraine, for example, when the effort was done from both directions, from the business itself and from the government. We need the tax adjustments and the proper legislation, and also support, a lot of support, because again, I think Philip also will confirm that once the government says that the IT industry is a priority, they get much more funding from global development agencies rather than just a local initiative from the business itself. So it's important that the government will feel, as I started with, co-ownership on developing the digital economy in the country, but also we need good examples. And again, in Tajikistan, we have Aziz John Azimi, who is a great example for any young, I think, a guy or lady in Tajikistan as a success story. But also the importance of tech park, especially in countries like Tajikistan, like Uzbekistan, it's a cool place. I mean, what could be the incentive? We've been asked. So I think we have examples like Aziz John. We have the monetary incentive, like you will become wealthy if you are smart, and not because you have some other, let's say, opportunities in your life or relatives. But also it's important to show them the cool environment, like cool campus, cool co-working space. It's absolutely different reality for them, and then they want to become part of this new stuff. and not to remain in their traditional stuff. And it's strong because people sometimes they couldn't even explain to themselves. They just comprehend that they want to become to a part of this, and that's why we need. But it should not only look like a cool place; it should be look a cool place. Just one one small remark. I think that again, in Tajikistan, the challenge is not only to set up the IT industry. I think the challenge is to assist to all other traditional sectors to pass the digital transformation. So I think that in this case that we're discussing, especially in terms of inclusivity, it should not be that only the IT industry have more access to international assets or opportunities, but also the traditional sectors. That's why I think that in our case, the IT park in Tajikistan should take also on itself some role or maybe main role in digital transformation of the wholesale economy of Tajikistan.
Thank you, Anatoly. And I think on behalf of University of Central Asia, which is actually in Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, and Kazakhstan, we are fully committed to work with the government, with all our partners in making this as a reality. I am at the moment the Aga Khan University. I am the global CIO for the Aga Khan University. Aga Khan University is fully committed to work with the University of Central Asia and all the partners. Aga Khan Development Network, through its global chain of expertise, we are all committed. So I think we have an excellent forum now, and we can see the willingness from the government to lead this initiative, and then all of us can partner and assist the government to make this as a reality. And with those words, I would request Farhad to say a few concluding remarks, and then we can close this discussion.
Thank you, Shaukat. Thank you for giving like concluding remarks. So in conclusion, I would like just to say that we are not moving fast, but we are moving in the right direction. Thank you for all the panelists attending this event. I hope that in the future we will have a lot of discussion and also the real cases in this process. I would like to thank Philippe, and I would like to say Bagrat, and I would like to say Anatoly, which is like who is like attending the several times and supporting this process from the beginning. All your recommendations and all your proposals are taken by us as a note. We would like to follow it up, and I hope that in the future we will have more and more connections and to discussion in this regard. I really hope that you as a part with the support of the University of Central Asia and the support of the private sector and the NGOs, we can make like a very inclusive Tajikistan. And yes, Shaukat, I will refer to the floors, and I took my notes already, and we will hope to keep this process further.
Thank you very much, Farhad, and thank you very much. I echo with what Farhad said. Thank you for all your time and knowledge you are sharing with us, because this is the crucial time for the government of Tajikistan to build the right direction in this area. So for all the participants watching us on social media and also on Zoom, thank you very much for your time. We have recorded this session, and then in couple of days, you will be able to watch this again on the University of Central Asia's YouTube channel. We will continue working with all of you and bringing more and more expertise and knowledge into this area. Thank you very much once again, and have a very nice afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.